What's going on, team? Welcome back. I hope that you guys enjoyed our interview today, of course, of Qualcomm's AI. And let's take a look underneath the hood, see how it did today, right? Let's take a look here, guys. All right. Well, you guys see the SPY definitely broke out. We have a big breakout day. We'll see what happens on the SPY towards the end today. Is it more a capitulatory top? That's one thing that I would definitely be looking at, because this has been some good action back towards the 432 area, now to 432.75. Is this just a topping event before the CPI event? Well, Qualcomm didn't do too bad today, definitely climbing after our interview. Not a bad move there in Qualcomm, of course. They talked about their AI getting up there now to 122. And I've been watching this stock bunch up since here, and it looked good. 2 days now, starting to bring it up there towards that 122. We'll see if it can continue to climb. And I did see in the chat, yes, I kept my Intel and still have a piece of it. Actually, kind of mad I didn't add at this 29.69, because I could have got my average back below, closer towards this 30. Definitely would be feeling good here. But big move up there to 33. Talked about how that could be the next move up, right? Now I'm going to be looking to see if we can go to 33.84. That's where I'm going to start taking some profits. But for right now, I'm trying to let this work. I'm trying to let this trade work here. I got in here at 30.93. So still around that 31 spot, looking for this to continue going higher. I'm up about 6.54%. It's a really nice position. Normally, I would run to these gains, but I'm trying to be a little bit more patient. The same way I was in Norwegian and was able to get a nice winner there, right? You guys remember that winner? That was a really nice win there. And now going to 1853. So look at that move. That's been one of the best calls of the year. Norwegian Cruise Lines really taking off. Look at the cruise lines today. Carnival Cruise Line to $14.80. I had this one at $10. I only sold it for a 10% win, but man, should have been able to hold this from around 10.05 all the way into this breakout. And look at that. That could have been a close to 46, 49% win there for Carnival. You can't be mad about that, right? It's been a big move there in Carnival. Also, you got it in RCL. Kind of topping events, though, I feel like. Eventually, I think we're going to get a nice little rug pull here for an opportunity for some pullback buy. But today is all about tech, of course. Intel going higher. Let's talk about some of these tech names and how they're pushing on the day. Of course, technology, the leading sector to the upside from the open and continuing to push through. I did this line to see if we'd push through it, created it on the 7th of June, and look at us now continuing to the upside. This is why it's very important to stick with the sector in the industry rotation. Is this going to rotate again? We'll see. But really, the big things to watch for, of course, CPI report tomorrow before the open, and you know how that likes to change up this market. Will we have a little bit of a topping event? Those are questions that we can start asking ourselves. Let's take a look at the high cap names, see how they performed on the day. Look at Apple now towards 183.03. And it looks like we just might get a 52-week high close here finally, as we've gotten close to here, 82.94. And then we went back to 179. We had an 82.01 day. And then recently we had a 179.58 day. This might be the 52-week high on Apple. And I remember when we were watching this down here at the 150s, created this line. When did we create it? On March 6th, updated it on May 15th, watching this just slowly work its way towards that up line. It's been keeping that trend higher. And that's why it's so important to sometimes take opportunities on stocks on monthly pullbacks. This stock made a pullback towards 130 multiple times and gave us opportunities to get it there. Now it's back towards 183. Just think about it from that 130. That's already a nice 38% win there in Apple, and it's continuing going. Microsoft turning things around today after first a red open. Look at this red open, caught this trend line, and then went right back to the upside, pushing strong here towards the close, up there towards 331. You got Google pushing strong. Look at that turnaround. Red, and all of a sudden got hot here in about the 130 time. now getting up there to 123.75. Nvidia even turning around there, guys, starting to make a little bit of an up move. Meta continuing going. You can't stop Meta right now. And the only question is, will it top out? I've been waiting. You guys know I got caught a little bit there on a short on Meta just a little while ago. I got kind of a little bit of a squeeze there. I'm keeping an eye on it because I feel like it's topping out. But the truth is, it could close this gap before it tops out and maybe make a run to 300. It's all going to be dependent a lot on that CPI report. Expected to come down big tomorrow. We got to keep an eye out on that. If the expectations are going to meet what actually comes to the actual data, right? We'll see what happens. Consumer cyclicals also doing well today. But in technology, we're still in there. Let me take a look around. Let me go see. I can see some solar names popped a little bit today. You got First Solar, EMPH getting a little bit of a lift, SEDG. Going to keep my eye on these stocks, but really it's all about the semiconductors here. Micron starting to bounce back after pulling back lately. Marvell just hanging in here. Will it make a move here towards the 65s? I'm keeping a watch on it. Doesn't look too bad. Needs to get through this CPI report, and then we'll see what happens there. You got other stocks too on semiconductor continuing now into the 91s. This has been a really big and a really good move here. MPWR pulling back to the 500, now bouncing right back towards the upside. We'll see if this can continue to go. And AVGO today talked about on pre-market prep. So shout out to my man, Dennis Dick. He could see the turn here coming a little bit, and he liked it. Look at that move here through the 810s, back up there towards 854, 5% move, almost a 44-point move here in Broadcom. Big move for Broadcom. All right, let's keep going. Oracle also continuing the day. Talked about it. Of course, they have earnings tonight, so we'll see what happens with Oracle. It's already taken off here to 116. Did it just raise the bar a little bit too high here? That's my only concern as it goes higher, right? We'll see what happens with their AI mentions. I'm sure they're going to mention something with AI tonight, so be alert. All right, let's catch up with the chat. What's going on out there, guys? You guys smash the like. How we doing? It's good to see you, Matt, EKS, Airbnb, Mystery Man. What's going on? How we doing? Green thoughts. Why is the VIX up and the market up? Because the truth is that VIX represents more of what? Volatility in the markets. Doesn't necessarily represent that the market goes up or down. Now, what you are finding there that's pretty interesting is kind of like a little bit of what? Kind of like a negative divergence. Normally, when the VIX goes up, we see the market come down. But what does that show me? That there could be a turn around the corner. What do we have this week? We have the quad witch. We have the CPI, right? Well, looks like we could see some option expiration come into play by the end of the week and maybe flip things around. We just don't know right now. But one thing is for certain, big push up today in the SPY, up there now almost to 433s. Did I expect this to 433s? No, I don't think that many did, but we're continuing higher and continuing to push. All right, we'll see what else is going on. Raz saying we have everything this week. Yes. So bat the hatches, get ready, because there's going to be swings throughout the market this week. This is one of those weeks where we need to be really nimble and stay with the news, because if not, we can easily just get runned over. So we'll see what happens here as the SPY tries to push through 433s, now getting up there. And the Qs really just staying strong, man. The Qs can't stop, won't stop. And look at them now towards 359. This has made a massive move from the bottom. We're talking about 37% up for the year. For the year. For all those people and all those analysts that were saying that we didn't want to be in technology on these pullbacks, well, the truth is they were probably buying it underneath our feet, because it looks like the institutionals definitely loaded up and took off, right? And now, will they sell it back to us? That's the only question. That's the hard part. We'll see what happens, team. Let's keep battling. To me, this is a clear example of why you can't always just keep your eyes on the talking heads, because they were not talking about technology in January, and now this is really taking off. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other action in the markets. Let's take a look here at consumer cyclical, the second leading sector. I've talked about this since when? Well, since right here on the line, since May 28th, we updated it on June 2nd. But since May 28th, we've been talking about one thing. Would we see the consumer cyclical names, usually the high beta names, because the cyclicals hold a lot of the high beta names, would we see those start to follow the market as the market continues higher? Well, here you have it. Clear example, right? We're starting to get some of the bigger stocks to lead it, right? Amazon pushing back to the upside. Tesla pushing back to the upside. Home Depot even got started today. You guys know I was trying to play Lowe's the other day and got stopped out. Well, today might have been the day, as that definitely pushed off right through those levels that I was looking at on Friday and Thursday, and now up there towards the 213. But that's how trading can be sometimes. So we got to keep our eyes on it. Baba getting a little bit of a lift as of late. McDonald's even pushing a little bit higher. The cyclical names are starting to push strong. Netflix looks strong right now. Looks like that doesn't even want to come back to the 9 EMA. Even Disney turning things around right now. We'll see what happens. This looks like a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders there on Disney. Can it come back up towards this gap? I'll keep an eye on it, especially if we stay hot in the tech names. All right, we can keep going. Department stores getting a little bit of a bounce. We've talked about that. Macy's trying to get through a high here. There's about 4 levels to kind of keep an eye out here. It needs to get through 1650. This is not an area that I would be kind of, keeping my eye on right now. But hey, it could keep going, right? We'll see what happens there. Home improvement stores, we've talked about that. Home Depot and Lowe's. Specialty retail, we talked about some of those. Even the Chinese names like PDD getting a little lift today. Resorts and casinos getting a little lift today. LVS trying to make another stand here and then push higher back through the 59 towards the 60s. Wynn trying to catch a little bit of a bounce here. We'll see what happens to these cyclical names. Can they continue pushing higher? And of course, in there you have stocks like lodging stocks, right? Well, what about Hilton and Marriott? I've talked about how the Marriott chart looks the best. Look how it's loading up here, trying to get through this 181, 182 level. This is something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for the breakout tomorrow, especially if we can get a nice push there with the CPI report. Let's go to Airbnb. I know it falls underneath that kind of area, lodging. This one really falls in internet content information, but look at the move that it just did. I really like that move that it just kind of loaded back, now really starting to get going. This is one that I definitely want exposure in the long run. I do feel like Airbnb is the best of breed. Will it make an up move? That's the only question that we need to ask ourselves. It definitely is trying to push back through the 130. Look at the monthly chart, caught around 110. Let's see if it can get through 130s and then really start getting going. Of course, what's it going to take? It's probably going to take us not just completely tumbling down with the SPY and the Qs. We'll see what happens there and if Airbnb can really get a lift. Industrials also up about 0.81. And where is it? Where am I going to go to? Of course, the airline trade that I'm missing here. I'm a little frustrated about this one because I sold it a little early, and more than likely, it felt like this one should have been more of a hold, more like an investment. I had American Airlines down there below 14, and I played this multiple times, right? I was able to take some good gains on UAL and DAL, but now missing out of the trade and feeling a little bit of the FOMO. That's for sure. So I'm looking for ways to play the airlines. One of the ones that I was thinking just the other day was Love Airlines, right? This one really hasn't taken off. It's around the 30s. So I'm going to look for this one to maybe kind of pull back a little bit and then look to kind of join the party, especially if for some reason we get a quick dip that gets bought by the CPI. I'll start looking at this one to see if it can really take off. And that's Love Southwest Airlines. Of course, you can take a look at maybe like JetBlue. That's another one that I see down here at the bottom for the airlines. Will this start to turn around? Of course, JetBlue trying to turn things around, trying to get that back there towards the 8. This one has started to get some volume. The only question is, can it really get moving? I'm not sure. Maybe it has room there towards 9 and 10, but definitely the best of breeds have already gone. UAL, DAL, AAL, those are the 3 that I had. and they're definitely continuing to push. All right, we'll still keep pushing. Let's take a look at what other ones to look at. I know I wanted to rewatch it. What are you guys looking at out there? Take a look at, what are you guys taking a look at here? January effect lasted until June. Yeah, it definitely did, Hammer. And the funny part is, will they just flip the year on us? Because if we start coming back down, we could end the year unchanged, right? Who knows what happens? All right, let's go to basic materials. This is an area that I'm going to be watching for. There's one area here especially that I want to keep an eye out for. You guys smash the like if you guys like some of the basic materials right now. And what industry is your favorite here? Do you have one? Are you looking for a move? Let me know in the chat. That's what it's all about too. I hope that you guys are learning these industries in these sectors to keep up with the rotation. That's what I'm always about. And like always, you guys know how I am. What can I say? I like a little bit of what? I love gold, I tell you. Let's take a look at gold. I'm really looking to see if this move can get hot again. And this is me trying to call a little bit of a turn, right? A little bit early. And so it hasn't necessarily made the move just yet. But I'm keeping an eye on it right now. I'm looking to see if we can start making a move back up with the CPI report and start to see this start, bringing the stocks down. All of a sudden, gold start getting a lift. So tomorrow, can I get back above this kind of trend line, right? Can I start making the way towards 17.25, 17 recovery there on GLD? You can also look at AU. This is also another one that I really like to play a lot of the times. This one actually looking a little bit better, right? It has a nice little pullback, has gotten a little bit sleepy, gone a little sideways here, just made a recent dip to 24. Let's see if this one could take out through the 25s. I'll be watching AU. And those are my two top gold plays that I've traded before. I've made some pretty decent money on AU before. Haven't done the best on GOLD. AU seems to be like the better one for me. So I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. All right, aluminum up today too. You can see some of these really starting to kind of prop a little bit. We'll see what happens if they can really start making an up move. Wood production, steel, agriculture, gold, propping, specialty chemicals. This one doesn't look too bad. I've been keeping an eye on like lithium to see if this is ever going to take off. It's just going sideways right now. But for me, I'll definitely keep an alert here, waiting to see when this wants to go back through 2150s and starts making a move. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks. You guys keep throwing them up. I got Option Mike joining me at 3:30, so we got about 10 minutes. Let's keep pushing, team. GOLD is garbage, says Hammer. I can't blame you. Maybe the J-Nug will be a way to go about it. What about Barrick Gold? Yeah, it's hard, man. That one doesn't move as much. Another one could be just like if you're just looking for daily kind of action, the J-Nug, right? Now you're kind of leveraging into gold miners. We'll see what happens if they do want to make a little bit of a flip. All right, let's keep going. We'll get out of basic materials. Let's go to the down area, which is energy. And who is still short some oil, baby? You guys know it. Money Mitch, of course. Let's take a look here. ExxonMobil in from 108.42 and continuing down today. And of course, I took this shot on Friday and continuing to add to this one, just trying to just keep smashing it, right? Well, we'll see what happens on ExxonMobil. Can it keep coming lower? I did see oil prices go down. We're right back into areas where I want to keep an eye out for. The only question is, can we get into the 50 handle? Oh, man, if it goes into the 50 handle, we could blow through the 100, I feel like, on ExxonMobil. We're at 67s. I've talked about this plenty of times before that we wanted to see if we rejected 72 and came right back down. Where did we top at? 72.50. Might have been 50 cents off there. But boom, right back down into the 60s. Where did we stop last time? 66.74. Around that level, we kind of bottomed out. We're at 67. Will we break that and go lower? That's what I'm pointing at right now. Can we keep going lower? We made an earlier move to 66.93s. Just recently, 66.80s. 67 or 66.80s. Yeah. Let's see if we can get back into like kind of the 62, 60 handle. If we can do that, Going to be looking good for oil. To the downside we go. Where's my downside traders? Where's the shorts out there? Let me know, guys. Let me know, because the dark side's coming soon, guys. It could be here. All right, we'll see what happens in Oxy to see if that breaks down. This is one that I'm kind of not trying to short. Of course, you guys know it. Warren Buffett, I think he eventually lets it go a little lower, but how much more is that going to give me on the downside? Not too much. That's why I'm sticking with more like an XOM, where I think it could go to that 101.04 and then eventually even go through that 100, which would be a massive win. We'll see what happens. All right, Brug Light. I'll take a look at Unity. I got no problem. Stick around. We can talk about it. Smash the like out there, team. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look. Energy definitely going lower. Utilities going lower. And financials pulling back a little bit today. Keeping an eye on names like JPM. See if they can go higher. Also, of course, watching what we've been talking about for a while now, KRE. Will the KRE kind of get towards the next levels on the upside? Look how the KRE is just kind of battling here, trying to work its way back to the 90 EMA and reload back to the 45. We'll see what happens if this does take another downturn. Of course, you guys can keep an eye on stocks like PACW if you think this is going to come back. One that I've been kind of keeping an eye on that I was wondering if it was going to make a move up was Schwab, but you can see it. It just doesn't want to make the move back. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what other ones are making moves in the markets. Financial services, utilities, energy on the downside, not looking good there. Healthcare kind of in the middle. You got some stocks up, research and diagnostic stocks. Some of them keep getting a nice little lift. Thermo Fisher, DHR. Do you guys remember we played DHR just a while back here, looking for this to start making its way back? And it did get a nice little undercut and rally type of trade here. We'll see if this starts to make its way, especially back towards like 245. Don't want to be too early to this trade, but I do see a little bit of turnaround here coming back, but definitely needs to get some strength. Healthcare plans, that's been one area that we've been seeing kind of a little bit of a bunch up. And I'm keeping an eye on this to see if we can push back above 500 for UNH. ELV is one that I like here as it came back and bounced today. Doesn't look too bad. It's a hard one to come after because it's a $400 name, but the weekly doesn't look bad either. Nice little kind of pullback on last week. Can we just break through this June 2nd high, 473.31s, and now start holding above that? We just broke above that today. Now I just want to start seeing it hold and making another run. ELV doesn't look too bad. CVS is in this space too. This has been starting to come back. Can it actually make a move though? That's the hard part. All right, we'll see what else is going on. Definitely smash it up out there, team. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sleep if I shorted Oxy, says Raz. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's Warren. But the truth is that even if you short, how much lower is it going to go and how fast? Maybe $5, something like that on the downside. But Warren mentions anything and it gets a $3 lift. So I don't know if I want to battle with that. All he has to do is just drink a Coke and say, click, click, buy some Oxy. Next thing you know, boom, we're good. We get crushed. So I'm going to stake into a stock that probably won't have Warren Buffett stepping in, which is ExxonMobil. All right, quad witching Friday. Yes, you guys got to be careful out there. The witches will be out there, and you know things get moving, especially on the quad witch time. All right, we'll see what else is going on in the market. It's about 3:26. In about 4 minutes, we'll be joined by none other than Option Mike. We'll talk a little bit about some tech, I have a feeling. Let's go somewhere else. Let's take a look into the market. Let's go to Tesla, because Tesla's been such a beast, but it's definitely getting off to the point where what? Oh, look at the RSI. Look at the RSI here on Tesla. Are we reaching from the bottom all the way to the top? It seems like it very much. So you guys can see how Tesla here on the RSI on the bottom went down from the bottom there around the 1675. It was like RSI 20s. And now really starting to take back off back through the 90 on the upside. And if we look at historical reference, when does Tesla have a tendency to kind of peak out, even on moments of extreme, like kind of exuberance, we'll say? You see it around here, around the 80s, the 70s. You see an extreme here towards 94 when we peaked out there in 2020. When we peaked out in 21, we got to a 97 reading there. That was definitely an extreme moment here. 80s here for this kind of peak here in 22. And then just recently on that recent spike, we got a move here where it went there towards about 89 here on that spike here on that price move there through the 200. Now we'll look to see if Tesla turns around. Is this kind of more of a blow off top here towards the 250, or will we fill it in this gap? There's a little bit of a gap here on the daily zone that we're looking to try to come back here. I wonder if we come back to actually fill that. That's slightly just above here towards the 250s, 260s. We'll see what happens here. It definitely looks like it wants 250, but are we getting to that point where it's definitely overbought? Yes, I would say it's overbought. Now what I would be waiting for is the price action to lead. The RSI is telling me something. I'm not going to go off of that until the price matches the indicator, right? We'll see what happens when we start getting a downturn on Tesla. Eventually, especially if the market's going to take a, like quick little pullback, let's say 420s, 410s, I'm definitely going to be looking to maybe get a little short on the Tesla Dragon. We'll see what happens. All right, let's keep going. We'll talk about some other action. I did see kind of Lucid get a little volume today. That was no-go there. Ford trying to keep the motors going here. It's up there to 1383. Has already made a decent move. GM also, and you could see a little bit of some topping on Friday. Of course, they had the news with Tesla to kind of get them started. We'll see if these can keep pushing, right? Will the vehicles keep pushing to the next level? We'll have to wait, because a bad CPI report and a turnaround in these tech stocks could easily mean a turnaround here in Ford or GM. But of course, they do have a lower, price to sales. But I think this is kind of more just going off of the recent rally that we've seen in Tesla. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull these charts down. I'm going to get my guest on today. You guys smash the like. Let's go ahead. Let's get to a little bit of some Option Mike action. How we doing, Option Mike?
Yo, Mitch, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. Ready to go ahead and take a look inside the market. Of course, we got the CPI report tomorrow, and I don't know, man. The expectations are to come down about a 0.8 on the year-over-year outlook. Do you think that we could hit these numbers, the expectations, or does it even matter?
We really haven't been moving big off the data lately. I think month over month, we're expecting to print a 0.1% versus 0.4 last month when I looked.
Yeah.
And by the way, the one problem right now we're seeing with this, the analysts are all over the place. There does not seem to be a solid set of numbers when you look at the data lately. That's been really confusing to anybody who's looking at the markets real time. But it's not just CPI tomorrow. We got PPI on Wednesday morning. Then we got the big Fed decision on Wednesday afternoon. Then we have retail sales on Thursday, consumer sentiment on Friday, and the inflation forecast on Friday. So you got a lot coming at us in the next 4 days. But the markets here saying today it doesn't care. I mean, this melt up this afternoon has been just unreal. We just suddenly started to push, and there's not a seller to be found. And here we are, new range highs, multi-year highs on the SPY and on the Qs here as we're pushing back up.
And it's interesting action, right, to see something like that, right? Especially a push up at these levels, because are we towards the highs and are we towards resistance? I think everybody would say that, yeah, we're a little bit extended, but we are still seeing kind of melt up action. Is this the remainders of the shorts just getting squeezed?
I mean, I think there's some of that. I think there's just so much money on the sideline. It's gotten nowhere to go. And it's looking for places. And then you have FOMO, and FOMO is real, right? Fear of missing out. And you can see everybody just suddenly start piling in because they're missing out on the move. And, we're seeing that. The one problem I continue to have with this market is breadth remains dicey at best. You have today, the NASDAQ breadth is pretty good, but the New York Stock Exchange is barely positive, right? We get a one-day rotation out of tech, and then they go right back into it. And today it's been Tesla, it's been Amazon, it's been Google, it's been the semis, the SMHs, the Microsofts of the world. CRM today laid a massive egg, by the way. If you did not watch that conference, anybody out there, I suggest you go back and watch the replay of it. They made Google's first AI conference look good. The one they first did. It was just Yeah.
That's an interesting one too. I can show a little price action from that so people can see how excessive that move really was. And just to kind of keep that in mind, AMD has a big AI investment.
I'm long AMD here overnight on some calls.
Event tomorrow, right? I mean, a lot of people weren't even catching this headline this morning and really seeing that. I think that one's an interesting one. It's going to have an AI event tomorrow. Of course, it will be CEO Lisa Su. So we'll see. I don't
wonder
know.
if it becomes a sell the news event, right? You buy
That's
the
the hard
rumor,
part.
you sell the news, unless they come out and say they have X amount in sales, or maybe they guide up during this, right? Maybe they come out and say, based upon this, we're guiding our revenue up high or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's good to see them have it, and this is finally some competition to Nvidia, which basically is dominating the market.
Yeah. Definitely, without a doubt. And I mean, let's go through some of those favorites. We can take a look at them, of course. I'll bring up your chart so we can definitely take a look. What do we want to first start off with? Of course, we've talked about Tesla, but where do you want to go first, option,
Well,
Mike?
I mean, the one thing I would also point out today is the VIX right now is highs of the day. So you got the market highs of the day and the VIX highs of the day. You have here a divergence in what's going on. And you always need to pay attention to a divergence because one of these is right and one is wrong. And I don't know which one it is. I suspect the VIX is probably wrong. But, usually what happens is one's going to catch up to the other. So either, VIX is going to come crashing down, the market's going to rally harder, or the market's going to come crashing in to catch back up to the VIX. And you got to realize when you have something like this today on low volume, you just need to be aware of it. Doesn't mean you need to get out of your long-term positions because I don't think we're in for any kind of massive sell-off in this market right now. But you need to be aware we have a divergence that's developed here.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's very important to catch that, right? And then look to see what happens, right? Because it's just like, a warning sign right now. It's not necessarily a run for the hills just yet. And I think that's what we need to kind of do. It's kind of just waving the yellow flag. Of course, if we saw massive downside action, then maybe we'd be like, oh yeah, the VIX was telling us something. But that's hindsight 2022. It's going to lag a little bit here. It's trying to lead a little bit to tell us that volatility could increase in this week. And of course it could increase this week. I mean, like, how do we not expect that with all these reports coming through?
Yeah, and the Fed.
Yeah, the Fed coming through and everything. So you're bound to get a little bit of a spike in the VIX this week, probably. So
exactly,
starting it off right off the bat.
VIX is probably wrong, but be aware.
Exactly, be aware, right? And that's what we're going to be looking at. All right, let's go to some of these names. What do you got for us first? What do you want to take a look at?
The semis have been leading all day. So when you look at a lot of the names today, they weren't participating. The semis were leading right from the get-go today. And, we're almost back to an all-time high. And you need to be aware that it's not the names you think. NVIDIA today is doing nothing. It's kind of still sitting here digesting. To me, this name still looks fine, but it's digesting. And it might be waiting to see what AMD announces tomorrow. AMD, I traded 3 times today. I'm back in it, going for tomorrow's event. Again, I traded big early this morning. I'm in small now for an overnight. We'll see what that does, but that came right back to the 52-week high. But it's been the names under the covers. Abgo, Chris in the room caught this one today, screaming, absolutely screaming today. Marvel, I saw a flow on it.
Marvel.
And Marvel, Michael, there you go. And look at the nice little move on that. And then Intel's been smothered in call buying today. And look at the size of the move on this one. Now, I think Intel's just become a bad company. They just, 20 plus years of not delivering and just going the wrong direction. But somebody thinks that they're about to deliver. So maybe they have their big AI announcement coming out.
I was ready, option Mike. I flipped my story. I was with you on the story that Intel had just been going that way, but really quickly, you just have to talk about something with NVIDIA. Get NVIDIA's CEO to talk about you, and things can change in an instant. And so I always feel like I got to be super flexible to a story like that. I was with you on thinking that Intel was completely done until I heard that, and I had to buy. So I've been in it now for a decent amount of time.
Now, I really don't think NVIDIA is going to let Intel build their chips. Why would they give them a technology that Intel is lacking? I mean, and that's really what you're going to let them fabricate your chips for you. Basically, you're going to give them the details of it and say, this is how you do it.
It seemed to me like there was something else underneath that. It's some unspoken things, right? Because I agree with you. There are competitors, and for NVIDIA to mention, Intel, maybe not mention AMD. That doesn't make sense either. Maybe they would share it with both of them to try to keep lifting up the industry overall. But I think in this case, I don't know, man. There might be a little deal there from Intel and NVIDIA that we don't know about for right now.
Intel needs it. They desperately need
They
something.
need it. They need something sexy, right? They need to
Yeah.
be attaching themselves to something that brings it out of us, right? We've talked about Intel as being the number one that should have got the AI play, but it hasn't. And let's see if it can play a little catch up. And I really think this is kind of more of an area where I'm looking at this also like a long-term swing, even investment. Because at these
I think it's an investment
prices,
or a swing, and it is not an option play; it's a stock play because it's
agreed.
It's too, it doesn't move well. It's very tough on options. It doesn't move fast. I think you're better off, buying just less stock and sitting in it for a bit.
Yeah, and I was looking at that kind of bottoming action around the 29.69 where we came off that day. That was the May 31st day. We have like a low there of 29.67. So off of that, I'm just going to stick to that area. And at least I know my out, and we'll see if this can really kind of get the AI bubble going, right? And I think that's how you kind of sometimes just take a shot, right? And I think at a company like Intel, I definitely don't think it's going to disappear tomorrow. And so at least I can sleep well and take a little bit of a shot. We'll see what happens there.
And then I want to switch gears. I got to talk about Boeing.
Yeah, did you see that nice little lift?
I mean, it's breaking out of this 6+ month digestive range here. And I mean, I have no idea why it popped today. We were all staring at it in the room because a big volume came in around lunchtime and went through the roof, and there's no news. I went looking all over. You guys didn't have it. Nobody else had any news on it.
Yeah.
But, you are seeing some rotation into Boeing and into Cat and Deere and some of the industrial names. You got Cat breaking up. It's in that little gap. Deere. So, there is a little bit of rotation out there. So if you're tired of the tech trade, these names are giving you another option of somewhere else to go. There's really not a lot outside of the big tech names that's working. So you're kind of forced to keep going back to the same names over and over again. If you're talking about starting swings, I mean, it's tough to start swings in some of these names at this point. They've run so much, right? And you have to look at it like you were talking Tesla. I mean, give Tesla credit. This thing is hanging in like a champ this extended after this massive move. But, at some point, it's got to play catch up. The moving averages are just too far behind at this point. So it needs to kind of just digest this move for a bit, maybe even pull back a bit. But right now it's saying, I don't care. Right now the trade is in the Teslas, the Microsoft, the Amazon, the Googles of the world, the Metas. And then, we've been talking about Apple. And while Apple's event last week led to a new all-time high, and it was a dud, it's coming right back. And that's all you need to know. Apple's still one of the stronger names out there. And, it's not as extended as some of these other names. And it's just, every dip to that 21 day has been a buying opportunity for the last 4 months. Just stick with the trend.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's an important thing. Always looking right now, especially the way that we're going, it feels like whenever I'm in, especially like the bubble environment, I just want to stay with the trend, right? Yeah. And I think that's what we're doing. Easy way to do it is you just see them right there. You see the EMAs option Mike uses. And I love using EMAs in moments like this because that's what's going to help us ride the wave and also tell us when the wave is turning around on us.
So Easy Mike in there is picking up SoFi. Just so you guys know, I've been in SoFi since the date of the debt ceiling was announced. I sold my last bit today. I'm out.
Nice.
So again, I just look at this chart and I just think to myself, this is horrifically extended. And I think it's great news. Now, I would buy back in if it came down and maybe retested somewhere in that 7 area. But up here at this point, to me, it's just gone too far, too fast. And, it's just how much more can it go? How much more can they squeeze into these names? And it was a great trade, right? They got $3 out of the deal. So I'm not unhappy with it.
Yeah, who wouldn't be mad about that, right? And I think that you have an interesting level too to watch for pullbacks too, because I think that that's what we need to be looking for also, because we could get these pullbacks after these stocks have taken off from their bottom, come back and find some buy the dippers, right? So we'll see what happens in that situation. I know for SoFi, we're still looking to see what happens in the Supreme Court decision for student loan kind of forgiveness. That's supposed to happen sometime this month, option Mike. So hopefully we get a little bit of a pullback here on SoFi and then eventually get that news release. And then maybe that could be the next driver to drive it higher, right?
Yep. And I think a lot of these names you have to look for dips to buy. And,
exactly.
and we've gotten them on some of them. Like Microsoft gave us, and Amazon and Google gave us a nice dip last week. It wasn't a big one, but look at this downtick on Microsoft, got almost a 21-day, and now here it is pushing back up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with these names right now, this to me is a little bit reminiscent to me of the tech bubble when you had that. And I'm not trying to say we're in the tech bubble, but you would get these 1 or 2 day down moves, and then they would buy it right back. And you're kind of seeing that here again. So you just need to be aware of that. That you're basically forced to buy shallow dips in these names right now if you want to get into them. You're not getting those big dips in the market in anything. If you're looking for a big dip, you're going to have to wait for the markets to decide they're ready to have a pullback. And at some point, we'll get a pullback. Market typically will pull back in. So, just got to be patient and wait for it at this point.
And I mean, to say that this is not a bubble, that I would think even be like kind of, I mean, what has driven this market higher, right? Of course, the Fed getting towards more of the pause outlook. That was one thing that definitely we got at least some assurance that, okay, we don't have to worry too much about continuing hike interest. But the truth is, we still got a war out there. We still got high inflation. We still don't. We still don't have like.
But remember, the market's always forward looking.
Yeah, yeah. And my thing is is AI really causing so much to the bottom line that these stocks should be at the levels that they should be?
No, because AI is not even really making money for these companies.
Exactly.
At this point.
And so that's when I think about it being more of that bubble, right?
Yeah. And I hate using the word bubble at times, right? Because, we're talking with Microsoft and Google and NVIDIA and AMD. We're talking quality good names. You're not talking, we're not talking, you're not talking a Carvana or an OSTK, right? On that stuff like that. These names that were doing 100%. Bubble. But they've been run up based upon the forward promise of what they're going to deliver down the road. Now, in NVIDIA's case, they were very blunt. They raised their guidance from 11 billion to 7 billion to 11 billion for next quarter. They're very blunt that they're going to see a tangible return on AI in the next quarter. The question is anybody else going to see that? And that's the real question. Because at Microsoft, I don't see that for a bit, and the same thing with Google. And then tomorrow we'll hear about AMD and how long before they're actually going to start delivering chips and being able to put them out there.
One more story I want to hear your mentality option, Mike, and that's IBM. What about IBM in that chart? It started to get going a little bit here. I know Barron's put out that it was the best AI stock. So you know how that one goes with Barron's. But what do you think, option Mike? IBM starting to get going here at 136. Can it finally make a move through 150 maybe? Man,
I did a chart on this a couple of weeks ago, and I said, watch IBM. It was starting to look good on a Sunday, and I put that out there. And, I wish I had taken it. But, it's not a quick mover the way it moves. And I don't know. Will they have an AI with Watson? I'm sure they're going to have. Everybody's going to have AI. But IBM hasn't been a leader in anything now for forever. They're a very large, big, global company that has their hands in so many different things, but they're just not a leader anymore. They are they're just there. They're just in everybody. They're in everybody's space, so they have constant business, but they're not really a leader. They're not an innovator anymore. We haven't seen that for a while. So I question their ability to lead AI.
All right, we'll see what happens there on IBM. And of course, we'll keep watch to see what happens in the market tomorrow. What are your levels that, let's say, if you saw the CPI report somehow come out hot tomorrow and we were down on the SPY, let's see the SPY to make it easy, what are kind of warning levels to look out for if we make a quick whoosh down?
If we get a hard whoosh, I want to hold this little gap we've been holding since last week. It starts here at 424 and change. Right, that would be the spot I would want to hold right there, because then I would go into the Fed and see what the Fed had to say after that, knowing that they're coming up. If it came down more than that, then you want to hold the 21-day, and after that, you got me. If we came down that far on a hot CPI number, this would be the first big move on a CPI in a while. We have problems. Obviously, the market and inflation's raging. To the upside, I mean, I think it would have to be a really good number. I mean, you'd have to be a negative CPI number, I think, to move the market tomorrow. I think 440 is in play. I think that's the next target on the SPY. If we got there tomorrow off of this, I'd be very careful chasing anything at that point.
All right. Well, thank you. Like always, you guys can keep up with him. Smartoptiontrading.com. Of course, Option Mike. Give him a nice follow on Twitter. We'll have you back on, Mike. Always good to have you on. Take care,
Thanks,
my friend.
Mitch. Later, guys.
All right. Let's keep going, team. We'll see what else is going on in the market. I knew that you guys wanted to talk about Unity, so let me go ahead and take a look at that one. If you guys got any other ticker you guys want to take a look at, now's your chance. Throw it up in the chat. Let's get into the action. Let's take a look here at Unity. I've been pointing towards the fib retracement levels, right? 38.2 was holding up pretty well as of recent. It tried to get through the 37, has not made that move just yet. So I'm going to take a look to see if we can make a move back above 39s. It's all going to be dependent, I think, on the CPI report, right? Are we going to make this come right back down here? We could have a little bit of a 50% retracement, maybe with the CPI report, and a little bit of the buy the dip mentality. I think tomorrow is going to be something definitely to keep an eye out for. Of course, we don't know where the market's going to go from there. And I think that everybody needs to stay safe like always. So one thing that I'm going to be doing is what? Keeping in mind that I might have to take some profits. Like let's say Square, for instance. This has tried to make its move to 70, has not made the move to 70, and now has about 3 or 4 days on pullbacks. So I might take this profit off. I've been holding this one from about 61.33s. I did take some profit on the 65 move, but it just seems like it doesn't want to get back through 65, and I might have to just run towards the profits. Same thing for XOM. Also, something to keep an eye out for. Tomorrow, we'll see what happens. CPI report. And, of course, Intel is one of those where I'm just like, I just want a little bit more, but am I being a little bit picky here and not just taking the gain here and running towards the profits? This is going to be a little bit of a longer swing for me, so I'm going to hold on to the Intel and definitely be alert tomorrow for the CPI report to see if we get the takedown or not. CPI SPY today getting up there towards 433.76. What a move here today. Q's having definitely a great day. SPY overall leading stock from the open was CCL. So Carnival Corp, not a bad move there from the open. Big push up on that stock. CTLT Catalent also having a really good day. Intel, AVGO, Norwegian Cruise Lines, Bio, EPAM, CRL, LH, ANET, and Empower going to lead the day in the S&P 500 today. I hope you guys smash a like. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We're going to keep battling. It's about 10 minutes left here, so keep throwing up some stocks before we get to the end, and we'll find out if we're able to hold on here. Overall, I do want to keep an eye out, of course, on Tesla to see if that can continue pushing. We did get to the 250 today, so that could be some topping action even on that. We'll see what happens there. Will we continue going into this gap up above? That's something to keep watch. And definitely, it's been a hot day for a lot of different stocks today. In consumer cyclicals, we'll see what happens to those stocks. Can they keep going? Lowell's now making a nice little move here towards the end. Now up there to 214. I'll keep watch on that one. Papa John's trying to bounce a little bit from the bottom. Not an area that I'm really looking at, but I'm just catching some stocks here in the chat. And also, of course, in my little scanner here to just see what was moving today. Let's see how those Chinese autos are doing. NIO trying to get a little bit of a lift. You can see that. XPEV trying to push up there through 10, then pulls back, right back down. So we've got to be careful there to see if it can get above 10. One area that I'll definitely keep watch on, I feel like DraftKings is one of those that just keeps stair-stepping its way higher. We'll see what happens if this one turns around or it gets another lift. Just pushing and pushing, but it hasn't really gotten going. All right, we'll see what other names can keep the lift. Affirm, keep pushing. Can it get through 19 in the next couple of days? I'll keep watch on that one. You can see here on the hourly, it's been trying to make us move towards 19. Can it make the next step up? Carvana also trying to move back there towards 25. We'll see what happens on that one. Even Beyond Meat made a recent run. Will these turn around? And it could come right back down, right? ARKK, growth names. How are those doing? Right back up there to 43.25. I took my trade off on ARKK just to pay myself off and make sure that I had a nice little gain there. And now seeing names like Shop push to the high end. Twilio trying to push higher. DNA trying to get through 2. Roku trying to keep going. And I'll keep an eye on Palantir. That's trying to keep a nice little push going. Path pulling back. We'll take a next step up This one actually interesting off the 1720s. It seems to be holding there. We'll see if it can actually make a move back to the upside. Palantir just keeps grinding higher. Not making a big move, but is grinding higher. We'll see if it ever breaks this little trend line. And of course, GE can't stop, won't stop. I always laugh about this stuff because it just stays in the trend, stays in the channel. The algos have this thing so picked up, it's just hard to read. We'll see if it ever comes tumbling down. And Deere, I wanted to take a look at Deere to see if it got back towards 400. It's almost there. Cat pushing strong now to 240. Pakar up there to 77.81. Will this get to 81? It's pushing strong, man. A couple days and just started pushing. Another one that I want to keep an eye out for, ITW. Will this one continue to push? It looks like it is pushing now up there to 240s. Will this one take off there to 245 and 250? We'll find out. Illinois Tool Works. All right, Starbucks being called out in the chat. Oh, this one looks like it's starting to break. We'll see if this can turn around and catch a move back through 100, but doesn't look the strongest there. And that makes me a little bit scared for my bros chart. But if Starbucks can start making a move, we'll see if bros ever makes a move back through 32s. Definitely not going to be early to this move, going to be late. And sometimes that saves you. EVgo, we'll take a look at see if that can get a little bit of a lift. It did get a little bit of a pop here, and then quickly right back down. We'll see what happens there in Blink and kind of these charging stations. Will they ever make a little bit of a lift? Charge Point made a little bit of a push right back. Needed to get through 10. That's when I'll at least take a look at Charge Point. But right now, it's off the list. All right, TLT. Interesting one to look at, right? Will we bottom around the 100? I've been talking about that since last week when I was covering kind of more the TLT for kind of hosting. And you can see here, nice little kind of levels that we got to just keep an eye out for. Will we kind of hold this TLT pattern and make our way right back to the upside? This is what I'll be looking for. And it'll be definitely something to watch out for if we can make a move back towards 106, bounce off of this, and make a move back through 110. So definitely something to watch there on the TLT. Oracle earnings tonight. Be careful there, team. I feel like on a day like today, this could have been a buy the rumor, sell the news. It's already ran a significant amount since like the 8th, and that's from like Thursday on. That's about 11% higher. We'll see what happens. I feel like they really raised the bar a little bit too high. And what do I mean by that is the price pushed so far up that it's already raised the expectations on the earnings. We'll find out. Lucid, I already kind of talked about it, Michael. I think that's trying to get some volume, but really hasn't gotten a squeeze or anything like that. And Milky Fade, always got you, my friend. If you got a stock, always put it up there. I'm always willing to take a look. 5 minutes here towards the close. It seems like it's one of those days where it kind of just slowed down, but then it sped up. It was just a little bit of a mixed signal. Plug Power getting a nice little lift today. So if you're looking at some stocks that are looking here that don't look too bad, keep your eyes on Plug Power. Nice little lift off, man. Little good push there. Not a stock that I look at often, but I can tell you right now, good day there for Plug Powers. FSIL's another one that I look at when Plug Power gets a good jump, and there you guys see it. Nice little jump there to 262. We'll see what happens on that one. All right, stocks definitely got to keep an eye out for are some of the kind of the fast movers. I think that they're going to be kind of crashing back down pretty soon. I think that we need to be careful with what happens in the market this week. This week is definitely one of those weeks where we could just see some topping action and slowly but surely start coming right back down. I know that we've been looking for this kind of run, and we got the run. Now the only question is, where do we run into some headwinds, and when do they start coming into play and knocking us back down? All right, we'll see what happens there in Qualcomm. If you guys didn't catch the interview today, I definitely tell you guys, go to PreMarket Prep. Check it out, team. We had a great interview today on Qualcomm with the head of AI. It was a good one, team. We'll see if it keeps pushing. It's up there to 122. Can this one get to 130, 135? Who knows? Maybe we got the shift started today. At least the shift didn't look too bad. Definitely heading in the right direction, Qualcomm today, as it's up there to 122.04. We'll look to see if that can continue driving. All right, Moderna, one more that I'll kind of touch here from my man Michael here. Daily chart is right at the bottom. So we're like hanging on by a thread here for Moderna. You can see it on the weekly chart. Will we cut through here? That's the only concern. Of course, Moderna isn't only a COVID vaccine stock, so maybe this can make a move back. But right now, it just doesn't look good, man. I need it to hold that 120. If 120 goes, you got to be careful. There's some lower lows here, like 115, and I got like 115.41. So maybe if we can hold 115s, but it's holding on by a thread right now and definitely just going sideways. Needs to get weak too, right? Because the RSI isn't really oversold, even though it's just been down here, right? It recently was extremely oversold and then just started actually bouncing up, but the price action quickly got faded off the 140, which actually caused it to stay up here. So I need another move there towards kind of like 115 if it's going to come down to that RSI and reverse. So could be 115 first before it gets back through 125. All right, Moderna has nothing else going on. It has some other things in the works, but not too much. All right, Raz, you're awesome, Mitch. Thank you. Appreciate the love. Let's see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if we get another push up in the market. It's about 358. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys. I got to go do some work. We'll see what happens in the SPY, see if we can push through that 434 and make a new high. Well, overall, Apple, did we get that closing, that new 52-week high? Boom. It's going to happen today. New all-time high for Apple. Wouldn't you guys guess it? Look at that. Boom, baby. It's going to close up there. Not a bad one. I think they're celebrating somewhere. All right, hit the like. I'll see you guys like always tomorrow. Don't miss it. Start Swing Trade. We start every day at 3 p.m. We go to 4 p.m. And, of course, we try to bring you guys a great trader to talk about the markets. Today we had Option Mike. Hit the like. I'll see you next time. And always keep working on your skills. And, of course, swing trading is where it's at, guys. That's where I get my bread and butter. Do you know why? Because I let the market work for me, like on Intel right now, right? We're just letting the market work. It's doing the hard work. We're up about 6.8%. Square 4.8. ExxonMobil 1.8. We'll find out what happens to these. Can we keep grinding a little bit more? ExxonMobil, we'll see if that keeps going lower. And Square, can it hang on here? We'll find out tomorrow. Smash the like button, team. I'll see you guys bright and early on Pre-Market Prep.